Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies. Becker Retirement Group is an independent financial services firm that helps people create retirement strategies using a variety of insurance and investment products. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to safety, security, or guaranteed lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investment products. Insurance and annuity product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Becker Retirement Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. You should talk to a qualified professional before making any decisions about your personal situation. We are not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
This is Real Retirement Radio with Arwen and Randy Becker. With the Retirement News Network's Megan Mozak. With more than 45 combined years of advisory experience, Arwen and Randy founded Becker Retirement Group in 1999 with the understanding that retirement is more than just money. It can be the best time of your life. This is Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Hi, Megan Mozak here from the Retirement News Network, joined by Arwen and Randy Becker of Becker Retirement Group. I want to start things off on our show by making sure you have their phone number. If you have questions about your retirement or perhaps money or financial related questions, by all means, you can reach out at 800-725-8220. Here's that number again. It's 800-725-8220. Now, if you've ever watched professional divers, maybe, at the Olympics, you see them take all those careful steps on the platform or on the springboard leading up to their dive. Well, those steps that they take, they're just as critical as the dive itself. They're all measured, they're practiced over and over, because any misstep, it can mean the difference between a medal-winning dive and, well, the agony of defeat. And that brings me to our topic today. We're going to discuss key financial steps that you can take as you prepare to dive into retirement. And Arwen and Randy are here. We're going to talk about this today. So, Arwen, where do you start with a client who comes to you and they say, hey, Arwen, I want to retire and I want to retire soon?
Well, Megan, along with your finances, you really need to mentally and emotionally prepare for retirement. We see it all the time. Sometimes people come in and they think they're ready and they're just, they're not really that ready, but it takes a lot of focus. So a client like that really needs to start piecing together what they want their retirement to look like. Looking at it kind of from a day to a week to a month to a year of retirement. What does that look like for you? Are you going to be having friends over for lunch? Or are you going to be going to the movies or taking painting classes or gardening, traveling? Is it going to be all of the above? I don't know. And really, it's what do you expect is going to be new in retirement? What's going to stay the same? And then how do you start preparing for that lifestyle now?
Okay, so, once someone does have a feel, Randy, for how they want their retirement to look, all those things Arwen brought up, how do you prepare for that lifestyle?
Well, I suggest you take it for a test spin. And I mean, with no pun intended, here's a perfect example. If you're thinking that you may want to be an RVer, have a big, huge land yacht that you're going to cruise all over the country. And, Arwen and I always recommend that somebody considers doing this during pre-retirement and renting one or something of that nature and take an extended trip. Did you like it? Was it fun? Was it everything that you thought it would be? Or did you, want to crawl through the walls because, you didn't enjoy the journey. You were just about the destination. So then maybe it would make sense to adjust your plan and just rent an RV from time to time. It boils down to avoiding any big financial commitments. Doing this, especially early in retirement, is critical. So you want to think through your plan. Any new hobby, as we all know, in retirement, it's going to require some notable financial investments and perhaps a lifestyle change. So take it for a healthy test spin or two beforehand and just see if it truly, really lives up to your expectations, your hopes, and dreams.
So, Arwen, understanding the cost of your desired lifestyle, that's key in retirement because for a lot of us, our finances could be pretty fixed.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. That's why when we have our events, I always say, it's the minimum that a retirement planner should be doing is making sure that you have enough to pay for your bills. What we want to do is we want to add a dollar figure on those dreams and goals that you've kind of been setting aside and waiting for retirement in order to bring those to pass. So you really want to put together a budget that's truly based on the vision that you have for your retirement, because that's what all the people we talk to don't want to just go sit in a lazy boy chair and watch TV. They actually want to now go out and do some of the things they've been waiting to do.
Right. And there's some triggers that happen. Like I'm thinking of one of our fun, awesome clients went early in retirement to the landscape and garden show. Next thing you know, he's got a spring and summer project where he's building a huge waterfall and renting equipment and having contractors come in. And just by going to the little event, he ended up having, a $50,000 project and enjoyed every second of it. Don't get me wrong, but you need to potentially be prepared, for how this is going to impact your finances.
Yeah, exactly. And so you need to look at, what are the non-discretionary or those fixed costs that are really expected in retirement. And these are the things that we all really need: food, housing, healthcare, things of that nature. And then there's the non-essentials. Those are the things that Randy was talking about, those new hobbies and the extras, like going out and traveling and the things that you want to do. And so that's something that we're constantly helping our clients and our prospective clients get a better handle on what that fixed cost is and really what the discretionary cost is, and make sure it's built into your plan. Because again, we want people to have a great time in retirement. We want you to be joyful and get to do things that are going to be able to help you live a great long life, but we've got to put a dollar figure on that.
Yeah. And, as Arwen just said, living the lifestyle you desire and dream about during retirement takes careful planning. In many cases, the assistance of a financial professional can really be beneficial. Retirement's not about just getting by. It is about living out these dreams. But, as we speak about cash flow, spending, mortgages, and expenses, it can be very off-putting for some, and that leads some people to inaction. A lot of people don't know where to start, but the fact is, this is a conversation we have day in and day out. It's nothing new to us. So give us a call at 800-725-8220, and we can get started on your best life retirement plan. Sure, we're going to incorporate an income strategy to make sure that you can cover your fixed and your variable expenses. But we also want to build a plan that revolves around your dreams and your goals and the things that you've been putting off for a long time. So why not give us a call today at 800-725-8220 and get your plan started? That's 800-725-8220. Just one more time, 800-725-8220.
Glad to have you aboard today on the show. I want to also remind you that Arwen and Randy have 2 locations for you: Bellevue and Bothell. If you'd like to sit down in the office with them to begin planning for your retirement, your best life retirement plan, it's just a call away, 800-725-8220, and go online to learn more. You can always visit beckerretirement.com. Now, Arwen, what are some ways, though, that we could maybe create a little bit of breathing room in our budget in retirement?
For a lot of people, Megan, it's looking at fees, fees that we pay on a number of different things associated with your IRA, your 401ks that you might still have at work, any trading that you're doing on accounts, certainly hiring a financial professional, really anything. Maybe you have some variable annuities. Those often have pretty high fees. So all of those things together, if individually, don't make a huge big deal. But when you put them together, it can be really significant, and the effect on your retirement can be pretty substantial. So over time, as you think about it, higher fees can really reduce the amount of money that you can accumulate during retirement. And that just kind of hits those savers pretty hard, and we certainly don't want you to be running out of money later in life, because that's about the worst thing that could happen. And so looking at fees and costs are going to be a big part of that.
So, Arwen, do you mind if I quantify that just a little bit?
No, go for it.
Let's say that you have a $500,000 retirement account balance, okay? And someone came along, helped you do a fee analysis, and it turned out you were spending 2% a year for the management and the internal expenses on that account, right? That comes to $10,000. So what if you could have a similar allocation, but do it for just 1% per year? Cut those fees in half. This is what we want people to do, is ask themselves what they can do with that difference, with that $5,000 of savings. Don't be fooled into saying, hey, I don't even see it, or saying one of those things we hear often, hey, if the account performed, then that's okay with me. I understand a lot of people don't mind paying fees, but where Arwen and I come from, it's to pay the least amount possible while still having great performance.
Right, exactly. And that's why when we have clients come in, we do a fee analysis. We look at what are the internal expenses, the things that most of our clients or prospective clients can never see. They just don't have the software or time to really dig in and look at all of the individual mutual funds they have and how that all comes together. But we can put something together relatively quickly and say, geez, did you know that you're paying upwards of 0.6% internally and you don't even know that's occurring? And so that's a big part of the transparency. When we're working together, with me being a fiduciary, it's really important to me that you understand that, because I have your best interest in mind. I have to. That's the part of standing in that fiduciary space. So making sure that we're doing that fee analysis and we're really looking at everything so you're fully aware, eyes wide open, what you're going into and what you're going to receive for that.
So, Randy, finding a financial professional, someone you really trust, someone you feel comfortable with, I know that can take time, but boy, it can really make all the difference when it comes to planning that successful retirement. And speaking of making a difference, what's another way we could lower expenses in retirement?
Well, there's lots of ways to do it, and we always love to sit down and do a little bit of brainstorming with clients. But so just think through very carefully, your housing strategy. Some cities, it's very hard to just say, well, I'm going to downsize because there's no lateral movement. So maybe you're going to move out of the area, what have you. Do a little research. With that in mind, be considerate of maybe paying off your mortgage while you're still working. So making sure you get that done. And what some people don't realize is that the amount of your annual expenses affects the taxes on your Social Security benefit as well, which is taxed based on your overall income. So you really want to have the gears meshed. You want to look at your total revenue that's coming onto your tax return and balance it out with how much of your Social Security will be taxed. And again, just some of the free thinking of ways to lower expenses. And of course, lowering taxes is a great way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about how that all comes together. We talk about that all the time. It's not one little individual piece. It's about how the whole plan comes together. And something that we get asked all the time is really, how do I know when the time is right that I can actually retire? And this is something that we help advise people on every single day. It's so important to us because you've worked your entire life to accumulate what you have. And we want to make sure that you're not trying to tackle this alone of how to protect it and how to distribute it back to you. You need somebody to help you that really focuses on all things retirement. And that's what we do. So if you've saved at least $250,000, let's talk about your plan. Give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we'll schedule a time to sit down and just visit. And we'll start working through your best life retirement plan. I promise you, you're going to find it extremely valuable. There's absolutely no cost or obligation. We just love to visit with you and see where we could be of assistance. I say it every time. We will leave you better than when you came in. So if you want to find out where you're at as it relates to your retirement and your future, give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. We're here to serve you any way that we can and make it an absolutely great experience. So 800-725-8220. Call us.
If you're ready to dive into retirement, what are the key steps that you need to do to prepare? Well, today, Arwen and Randy are sharing their very best tips and strategies to retire on your terms. Stay with us.
You're listening to Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network. Saturday morning, drinking my coffee, checking my accounts, then that little voice in my head. What on earth are you doing? Why are you trying to be your own financial advisor? You don't know anything about the financial business. You got too much money at stake to do this by yourself. Too many people are counting on you. Sometimes you gotta listen to those voices. So I made the call. Monday, I got the call back and met with Arwen and Randy Becker. Just the three of us. Had my numbers, portfolio, basically everything, and they said, put that away. We didn't talk about what I had. We talked about what kept me up at night. What Karen wants when we retire. Don't want to let her down. We've been talking about it for years, and now here it is. We're not quite ready to retire, but we're ready to be ready.
Let's talk. Becker Retirement Group, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.
The sooner you establish your relationship with an independent financial professional, the better. Why? That longer time horizon can give you more flexibility, broader product choices, more time to respond to market changes, more time to take advantage of opportunities, and more time to coordinate your entire financial strategy. Those are powerful reasons to get a professional in your corner while you're still working. Don't put off planning for your retirement. Choose to work with an independent financial professional. Why not start today? It may even help you retire earlier.
If it's important to you to get started today to refine your retirement strategy, give me a call. I'm Arwen Becker with Becker Retirement Group. Let's sit down together and look at your options. Call me at 1-800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. By contacting us, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of insurance and investment products.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
This is Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Hi, it's Megan Mozak from the Retirement News Network. Glad to have you with us today on the program. I'm joined by Arwen and Randy Becker of Becker Retirement Group. If you'd like to get in touch, dial today 800-725-8220. That's the phone number, and a great website as well. You can always go to beckerretirement.com for more information. On the show today, we're helping you dive into retirement. And Arwen, it's important that we do start to define what our retirement's going to look like, what we're going to fill our days with once we step out of the workforce. And once we've got that picture, the picture of our lifestyle, well, then we've got to figure out how to pay for it. So how do we start?
Yeah, you definitely got to figure out how the heck to pay for it. That's for sure. And so what we're going to be doing is looking at all the financial resources that you have, all your assets, your retirement, non-retirement real estate, the entire bit. And then from there, we're going to break that down into guaranteed and non-guaranteed income sources. And Randy will expand on that a little bit. But, a friend of mine, David Bach, 9-time New York Times bestselling author that I partner with on our asset management side, he says kind of this funny thing that just has always stuck out with me, that you really have 6 pillars of income. You have your Social Security, you have some part-time income, you've got pension income, maybe, if you're fortunate. Savings, your retirement funds, and then you've got your inheritance. But we always joke, if you're going home at Christmas time and you're like, Mom, Dad, how are you feeling? And their response is, I'm feeling great. And you're disappointed. You shouldn't be relying on inheritance to be part of the plan. So we want to look at all those other pieces, and inheritance is just an added bonus if you're fortunate enough to get that.
All right, that's a good rule of thumb. So then as we talk about this, Randy, what do we need to know about guaranteed and non-guaranteed income sources?
Well, guaranteed means that you're going to get a specified amount of income at a specified date, and it's going to last for a period of time, hopefully for your life. Take, for example, Social Security benefits. Another one would be a pension. As Arwen said, if you're fortunate enough to have that on the table, or an annuity. That can be paid out over a specified period of time, or they can be designed so that they last for your entire life. Now, as opposed to the guaranteed income, there's non-guaranteed sources, and this can be investment income. It can be things that are subject to change. For example, if a person is selling shares of stock and using the proceeds as retirement income, that income may fluctuate according to the movements in the value of the stocks they're planning to sell. This non-guaranteed category can include anything from non-retirement accounts to 401ks to Roth IRAs. Now, another thing is, let's not forget about required minimum distributions. Now, one of the things about this is, of course, there's a legal requirement you take them. So you can count on them being part of your income distribution amount, but we don't know if they're going to be guaranteed or non-guaranteed until we peer in a little bit deeper and look at the investments behind it. So just generally speaking, here's what it boils down to. Financial experts recommend that your guaranteed income sources should cover the bulk, if not all, of your essential living expenses. You don't want to depend on the non-guaranteed sources for those basics. Let's use that as the cream for doing the fun stuff, or, the pent up dreams that you're going to live out. But let's make sure that your guaranteed sources of income cover the bulk of your expenses.
That's really, really a good rule of thumb there. So then, Arwen, if retirement is getting closer, maybe you've already retired, how much should you have invested in the stock market?
Blanket answer, Megan, is always the same. It depends. And that's why we have really great tools that help us determine what's going to be best for each individual client. I didn't get my hair cut by a salon person until I was 22 years of age. And it was because I did cut my hair. It was just my mom was the only one that I trusted to cut it, because I had so many girls coming to junior high and they'd be like, oh my gosh, she cut off 8 inches of my hair. And I'm like, oh, how does that happen? I'm never going to go to a salon ever. And of course, the older I got, I realized it was just poor communication, because her idea of an edgy haircut and the salon gal's idea of that same edgy haircut oftentimes can be very different. And risk is the same. People say what they think, but what I'm actually interpreting can be different. And that's why we use really tremendously integrated software to be able to really truly determine what your risk tolerance is. So it's not a one size fits all, but equities are a really vital part to the overall long-term growth potential of your overall portfolio and your retirement. And really we need that because we need it to beat inflation. Longevity is the biggest thing that's going to affect your retirement. So we need to make sure that we can have some of that great growth for the future, but we also need to start preserving some of our capital. And that's a big turning point for a lot of the people that come in to see us. So when we're looking at the balance of stocks and bonds and annuities and CDs and, whatever else that maybe you own, we're looking at all of that together and determining what your risk tolerance is. And then that will give us a framework as we're looking forward to know, okay, now how do we start adjusting things? But then certainly our role as advisors is to make sure that your risk tolerance is actually what your retirement can handle. We call that your risk capacity, because some people might have the emotional tolerance to handle more loss, greater loss, but your overall retirement doesn't. And that's why you pay an individual like me to make sure that I can tell you those little pitfalls that I'm going to see if we're going to continue going down this road. So, one of a great rule of thumb really is just to look at capping your stock exposure to roughly about 50% going into retirement. So you have 50% of your capital preserved. But again, it comes down to all of these things, how they work together. And it's really vitally important that you don't just try and just make some shifts in your internal, stocks and bond portfolio and assume that's going to be enough, because oftentimes it's not. And we're in a very ever-changing environment, and bonds are very precarious right now. So we want to be very cautious about how we're utilizing those and deploying them. One of the most common things that we do see when people come in to see us, they're nearing retirement, is they are heavily invested in the stock market. Oftentimes 75 to 95% of their assets are in the market. And you know what? It's very normal, because you've spent your 20s and 30s and 40s accumulating and growing your assets, accumulating and saving and growing. But now it's time to start protecting them. And that's why our number one priority as a company is preserving what you've worked your entire life to accumulate. So if that matters to you, give us a call. We'll sit down and we'll have an initial visit and we'll talk about what is the proper amount of risk to retain in your retirement. So if you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we'll work through a risk assessment of your current plan, and we'll help educate you on what the proper balance of risk and safety is as you're heading into retirement, or maybe you're already there. Diversification is key, but also minimizing volatility. It's a big piece of that. And so we're wanting to make sure that you understand the difference between that risk tolerance I was saying and your risk capacity. So there's no cost in sitting down to have this kind of analysis. It would be our absolute pleasure to give you some clarity and direction in this very uncertain time in the market. So if you feel like that's you, I urge you to pick up the phone right now. Call us at 800-725-8220, and we'll connect you with one of our financial professionals. That's 800-725-8220. We're here to serve you any way we can. Give us a call.
And I want to give you Arwen and Randy's website as well to find out more about them and their team, BeckerRetirement.com. 2 offices serving you in Bellevue and in Bothell. So, Randy, what about a cash reserve? Is that important, having that emergency fund? Does it play a role when we're determining how much to invest in the stock market?
It does. It's because the goal of a cash emergency fund is that it should allow you to avoid selling investments at depressed prices. In other words, it's part of the overall mechanism that will allow you to have a successful income plan because it's your buffer. Now, many people suggest you have, anywhere from 3 months of expenses up to 2 years covered in your cash accounts, like your money markets, your CDs, or your checking and your savings. And what you're doing is you're avoiding this phenomena called reverse dollar cost averaging. When you're accumulating, you're saving in a dollar cost averaging environment. And in fact, the volatility that can come with market investments becomes your ally. You're getting a little extra oomph out of the investment strategy because you're buying at depressed prices. It's great. However, if you put a mirror on that activity, now you're doing reverse dollar cost averaging and you're selling to make your income payments at reduced, depressed prices. This is precisely what you want to avoid. So that's why Arwen and I always almost overdo it with cash accounts with our clients. We want them to have that peace of mind, that high degree of comfort that nothing will interrupt their income, but yet they can still live out their dreams and follow through on their plans.
So if you do need to access non-guaranteed income sources then to cover some of your expenses, Arwen, is there a guide for how much you can safely withdraw?
Yeah, again, kind of the depends. It's a lot of people kind of go back to this 4% rule, but with people living longer in retirement and these really low interest rate environment that we're in right now, some say lowering it to 3% or even lower is probably a little bit better. So, really it's how everything functions together. And having a very well diversified portfolio that's being daily rebalanced as we do is really vital if you're starting to pull money out, especially if we start going through some of the volatility that we've been feeling recently. And so when you've got a highly diversified portfolio, not only across tons of asset classes and tons of countries and, stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all the other things that kind of get put into that mix, when you have all those things functioning together, then you can say, okay, where's the best place to pull it from? But then it's not just that. It's also diversification across tax classification. So you could be looking at your IRA versus a non-IRA account or a Roth account, and you need to have some direction as to which one of those is best for you, because oftentimes we're helping people understand how they need to start pulling their money out to minimize some of the taxes in the future. So all of that works together.
Would you like to take the mystery out of your retirement future? Sometimes just thinking about the possibility of relying only on the nest egg you've built can seem overwhelming and scary at the same time. But this is why we exist, and we're certain we can help. So give us a call at 800-725-8220, and we will build you a rock-solid retirement plan. It's a plan called the Best Life Retirement Plan. So give us a call, 800-725-8220. Just call now at 800-725-8220.
Well, other than simply investing more money in your retirement portfolio, is there a way to actually make your assets last longer? Arwen and Randy show us some options to do just that. It's next.
You're listening to Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Concerned about missing the boat to a confident retirement? Don't worry. It's never too late to establish your relationship with a financial professional. In fact, if you've already retired, it may even be more important to have a reliable, trusted advisor to help keep your retirement strategy on track. Act today. Optimize your time horizon, your recovery time, and take advantage of available opportunities to develop your overall financial strategy. Don't walk alone. Choose to work with an independent financial professional. Why not start today?
If it's important to you to get started today to refine your retirement strategy, give me a call. I'm Arwen Becker with Becker Retirement Group. Let's sit down together and look at your options. Call me at 1-800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. By contacting us, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of insurance and investment products.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Saturday morning, drinking my coffee, checking my accounts, then that little voice in my head. What on earth are you doing? Why are you trying to be your own financial advisor? You don't know anything about the financial business. You got too much money at stake to do this by yourself. Too many people are counting on you. Sometimes you gotta listen to those voices. So I made the call. Monday, I got the call back and met with Arwen and Randy Becker. Just the three of us. Had my numbers, portfolio, basically everything, and they said, put that away. We didn't talk about what I had. We talked about what kept me up at night. What Karen wants when we retire. Don't want to let her down. I mean, we've been talking about it for years, and now here it is. We're not quite ready to retire, but we're ready to be ready.
Let's talk. Becker Retirement Group, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.
This is Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Hi, it's Megan Mozak from the Retirement News Network. So pleased to be here with Randy and Arwen Becker of Becker Retirement Group. If you'd like to sit down with the Beckers to begin planning for your retirement future, they would welcome your call. Here's the number. It's 800-725-8220. Any questions about our show, reach out as well. Again, 800-725-8220. 220. Now, if you're ready to dive into retirement, there are several key financial steps you need to be aware of. And Arwen, Randy, you're breaking all of this down for us. You know, one of the biggest decisions that someone has to make is when to actually retire. Arwen, how do you help clients decide?
Oh, I love that question. You know, I get that at our seminars a lot of times, like, well, how much money do I need to have, or when do I know? And, you know, really it's up to you, obviously. I suppose sometimes it's up to an employer as well. Some people are kind of forced into retirement, but it has to do with the plan. It has to, you know, we have to be able to take all of these things that affect somebody's retirement or a piece of their retirement and look at how it all comes together. And I mean, within the same day, I had back-to-back meetings where the first client who came in had $250,000 saved for retirement, and the very next client had $2 million. And until we actually did the projections of expenses and income, Social Security, pensions, all these things, and the rates of return that we were assigning to those assets, when we got back together, it ended up being that the client who had $250,000 saved for retirement, by the time they were in their 90s, had over $1 million. Whereas the couple who had $2 million had run out of money by the time they were in their late 80s. So, you know, it really comes down to the plan, really telling you when the best time to retire is.
All right. So that discussion, I would imagine, Randy, typically includes Social Security?
It always does, absolutely, because what we can do with our retirement planning tools is we can map out the differences in how and when you take your Social Security. One possibility is collecting Social Security at age 62, for example. So taking a little bit early, but you know, when you do that, there's about a 25% reduction in benefits, and that deduction is permanent. Or the other is to go ahead and take it at full retirement age. Many of us know full retirement age as being 66 or 66 in a few months, or maybe even 67. And at that point, you're going to receive 100% of your Social Security monthly benefits. That's pretty great. Add the COLA on top of it, and that's some pretty good lifetime cash flow. But there's other circumstances where it really makes sense to push that Social Security draw date out till age 70. And when you do that, the impact is that your monthly benefit increases by about 8%. And of course, that can have not only a big impact for you as you're collecting the benefits, but if you're married, it's a little bit more of a spousal benefit. It's a higher survivorship benefit for the survivor in the marriage, because they will take the higher of the two Social Securities coming into the household. One of the things that we do, we use this tool that allows us to build out your financial plan, put all of your income items, all of your expense items in there, and of course your retirement assets. But it becomes a very sophisticated analytical process when we can just literally take a button and say, what does it look like if you take your Social Security at, 65? and we can have that ripple through all of the financial data that we entered, and then we can test that. Well, should we do that, or should we take it at 68 or something of that nature? And really, it's a great environment for saying, how can we optimize this Social Security process and make sure we're, making the best decision for us?
And that makes a lot of sense. So, Randy, Arwen, we're talking about these things today. I wonder how likely it is that Social Security is actually going to cover all these essential expenses. Arwen, what do you find?
Not very likely at all. And, when Social Security was created, the average life expectancy, so Social Security turned on at 65, and the average life expectancy of an individual was 62. It wasn't supposed to be really the bulk of retirement income. So, it's going to cover some of the essential costs, but we really need to understand how we need to cover the rest, because Fidelity found a person is going to likely need to replace at least 45% of their pre-tax paycheck from their retirement savings. So if needing additional income during retirement, if that's something that you require, it might be worth considering a couple of different options, either an annuity, which is a great tool that people often can utilize, kind of like a pension replacement and has low to no fees, or oftentimes our clients will use a diversified income portfolio, but it does have risk and advisory fees associated with it. So it's nice to know that there's options on both sides of the fence, the risk and the non-risk side. But looking at how all of these come together is going to just be really important to the overall plan, and something that we're going to address very clearly when we sit down and talk to you about it.
With retirement looming on the horizon, or maybe it's already upon you, it's absolutely vital that you know with a high degree of certainty that you'll have enough money coming in month after month and year after year. Not just to cover the basics. Anyone can do that. We want to make sure that you have enough to live out those dreams and goals that you've been delaying until retirement. So give us a call at 800-725-8220, and let's get started on your best life retirement plan. There's absolutely no cost involved in us building this out for you, so you really have nothing to lose. If you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, give us a call, and we'll schedule your visit to work through your specific circumstances. And we'll put a dollar figure on those dreams and what you want to accomplish in retirement. So give us a call, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. Call now.
And always online at BeckerRetirement.com. You can learn more about Arwen and Randy's retirement planning events. They hold these all throughout the year. So go to BeckerRetirement.com for much more information. Arwen, what type of annuities are you seeing fit well into this whole retirement income puzzle we're talking about?
It really depends on the timing, Megan, whether you're preparing for or actually you're already in retirement. And so there definitely are some options. But, I always like to say this ahead of time, though. We have clients, we've got millions of dollars in annuities. They end up being a great source of consistent income without the fluctuation of the market. But that's why we call it co-creation, because just because of that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be right for you. Maybe you hate them. And so we're going to look at what the options are, and we've got great options outside of that. So it's totally fine. But otherwise, for some of our clients, utilizing an annuity like that pension replacement is a great part of the overall plan, because it provides some preservation of capital. It provides safety. It provides consistent income if you need it month after month, or maybe you just want to take systematic distributions whenever it's best for you and you're spending, all of these things, and you're taking it out of an account that's not fluctuating due to market exposure. And a lot of people really like that, not to mention the fact that there's no advisory fees on that. So it oftentimes can be a great source for consistent income, while we'll take the diversified portfolio that we have with the growth piece and really be beating inflation, have that exposed with some great upside potential. And so it's looking at how all of these pieces function together.
What about tax benefits? Randy, any tax benefits with annuities?
I love to integrate that aspect into building a plan out, because yes, annuities offer tax-deferred growth, though payouts are subject to income taxes like traditional IRAs. Non-retirement annuities, so non-IRAs, however, don't have the requirement for distributions like IRAs. So I call tax deferred in this world tax controlled. I had a gal come in. We were talking through taxes and her retirement strategy and her income strategy. She's in her early 60s. She was in a position where she had enough cash set aside that was going to last for almost 2 years for her. She had pretty modest expenses. So in her non-retirement account, we used a deferred annuity and we weren't planning on taking any money out. So that was great for her tax return. She was delaying Social Security, so that didn't show up on her tax return. At the end of the day, in the eyes of the IRS, she had very low income taxes, and she was also able to take that tax return, march right over to the county assessor's office and apply for her property tax discount. These things integrated because she was able to do some good tax planning and make sure she just didn't have income just willy-nilly dribbling onto her tax return that she didn't even need.
Wouldn't you say that happens all the time, Randy, that people have that? They're just unaware of it?
Yeah, because, we all know that it doesn't hurt to have the income. We kind of like it. But unless somebody's helping us analyze how to make it all stitch together and how to control our tax return, we're just not thinking that way,
Yeah, and that's why we have a CPA that works full-time with us in the office, because we want to have these things integrated. It's really important because tax planning is historical, whereas financial planning is future planning. So having those two working hand in hand is really important. The majority of the clients that we do have coming in here into our office these days, they don't have a pension. And so when you have a chunk of money that you've accumulated during your working years, now you need to become the expert of distributing that back to you as income for the rest of your life. And you know what? That is an overwhelming and an extremely daunting task for most people, but it isn't for us. That's what we do day in, day out, walking through that landmine, and we can help you do the same. An annuity might solve the income issue for you, but honestly, we wouldn't know until we have a discussion and sit down and talk about your specific situation. So if that describes you, give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we'll talk about some of the options that you might have for consistent, reliable income throughout your entire retirement, whether that's with risk or without risk. This is something you don't want to get wrong. We want to make sure that you have this income piece taken care of for the rest of your life. So if you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, give us a call at 800-725-8220, and we'll sit down and work through our customized best life retirement plan. I promise you'll receive something of great value, even if you don't become a client, because you know what? Most people don't, and that's okay. We've been here in the East Side and serving the Seattle area for over 18 years, and we would love to assist you any way that we can. So give us a call, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220.
As you prepare for retirement, one element you shouldn't overlook is how to pay for health care. Arwen and Randy give you some key strategies to take the sting out of this huge retirement X Factor next.
You're listening to Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network. Saturday morning, drinking my coffee, checking my accounts, then that little voice in my head. What on earth are you doing? Why are you trying to be your own financial advisor? You don't know anything about the financial business. You got too much money at stake to do this by yourself. Too many people are counting on you. Sometimes you gotta listen to those voices. So I made the call. Monday, I got the call back and met with Arwen and Randy Becker. Just the three of us. Had my numbers, portfolio, basically everything, and they said, put that away. We didn't talk about what I had. We talked about what kept me up at night. What Karen wants when we retire. Don't want to let her down. I mean, we've been talking about it for years, and now here it is. We're not quite ready to retire, but we're ready to be ready.
Let's talk. Becker Retirement Group, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.
The sooner you establish your relationship with an independent financial professional, the better. Why? That longer time horizon can give you more flexibility, broader product choices, more time to respond to market changes, more time to take advantage of opportunities, and more time to coordinate your entire financial strategy. Those are powerful reasons to get a professional in your corner while you're still working. Don't put off planning for your retirement. Choose to work with an independent financial professional. Why not start today? It may even help you retire earlier.
If it's important to you to get started today to refine your retirement strategy, give me a call. I'm Arwen Becker with Becker Retirement Group. Let's sit down together and look at your options. Call me at 1-800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. By contacting us, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of insurance and investment products.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
This is Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network.
Hi, Megan Mozak from the Retirement News Network alongside Randy and Arwen Becker of Becker Retirement Group. Here's the phone number if you'd like to get in touch with Randy and Arwen to sit down to begin planning for your retirement future. 800-725-8220 is the number to dial. That's 800-725-8220. 220. You know, as your retirement date approaches, there are a lot of feelings, right? You're probably excited, but you might also be a little bit anxious. You wonder if you've covered all your bases, if you're really prepared. And Arwen, you're helping us today feel more confident alongside Randy. You guys are sharing some key financial steps that we should take before we dive into retirement. I know another important piece of this retirement puzzle is healthcare, how to pay for it. Pretty big area, right, Arwen?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. It's a crucial part of planning for retirement. And, the reason why is because most of us either have known somebody in our family who's been hit really hard by the cost of a healthcare event. And, certainly as we get older, the cost tends to go up. I say it over and over and over again. Your longevity is the biggest risk that you have in your retirement because people are living so much longer. So the likelihood of a healthcare event coming around is actually very high for most of us. So the first tactic certainly is to sign up for Medicare, which is going to cover most of your routine healthcare costs once you turn 65. And then generally speaking, then you have Medicare Part A, which is also known as hospital insurance. And that covers the expense if you have to go to a hospital or a skilled nursing facility, hospice, something like that. And they're going to kick in and pay for some of those healthcare services. But there is a deductible that you have to pay before Medicare does kick in. So keep that in mind. And then Medicare Part B, this is also the one known as the medical insurance, that covers many outpatient services like doctor's visits or tests, cancer screenings, vaccines, and there is a monthly fee for that.
Now, Randy, but Medicare doesn't cover everything, right? For instance, dental work, hearing aids, things like that.
That's exactly right, Megan. And that's why it can be a good idea to sign up for some supplemental insurance for expanded coverage. Medicare actually offers some private insurance options, and your former employer might also too. So you just have to kind of look around a little bit, but bear this in mind. Long-term care isn't covered by Medicare either.
And it's estimated, I know that 70% of retirees are going to need some form of long-term care. That's a lot of people. How do you help your clients pay for that?
That's a critical part of the planning process too, because it can be a good idea to consider some form of long-term care policy. And the thing is, you can't put that off because we'll be sitting down with individuals in their 50s and, they're doing a well-rounded plan and they install some form of long-term care strategy, which I'll discuss in a second. And it's very effective. But then we'll sit down with someone 10 years older, they're in their mid-60s, and it's still effective, but it doesn't have quite the bite. And when we're talking to somebody in their 70s, sometimes it doesn't even make sense, and it's just going to be a self-insurance strategy. How do you approach long-term care? Well, first of all, it can be in the form of a standalone long-term care policy. Those can be relatively expensive, and there's a lot of unknowns. You may not need it, and you can't change your mind and ask for any of your premiums back. And there's just some confusion around that area. But that's why we kind of focus on asset-based long-term care, and that's the type of strategy that enhances your self-insurance pool. It is a way that you can set aside money in anticipation of those future expenses and use an insurance product to leverage up the amount that's going to be available for home health care or assisted living or even, heaven forbid, the nursing home scenario.
Yeah, Randy, you're so right. I mean, putting those plans in place and seeing what options are best for you is a big part of our planning process. And, the truth of the matter is there's another statistic that says that 80% of elderly poor are women. And that's because oftentimes women will care for everybody else and not really be left with anything. And, that statistic really needs to change. And since longevity is now the biggest risk to your retirement, whether you're married or not, male or female, it's vital to know with a degree of certainty that the money that you've saved over the course of your life is going to be enough to cover healthcare related expenses that you might face years from now. It could be 2 decades from now. And we want to help you determine if you're covered adequately. So give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we're going to talk about some of the options that you might have for future healthcare coverage. And like Randy said, it doesn't necessarily mean purchasing a long-term care policy, but there are a lot of options available for covering future healthcare needs. But it's something you don't want to get wrong or put off until it's too late. There are a lot of options. So we want to make sure that you're taken care of for the rest of your life. And if you're married, your spouse isn't going to be left destitute if you deplete your household assets for coverage. I know that's something you wouldn't want to have happen. So let's get this addressed and solved. If you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, give us a call at 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. And we're going to sit down, work through your customized best life retirement plan, which does include a deliberate discussion of your possible future healthcare needs. Again, that number is 800-725-8220. Call us at 800-725-8220.
And you can also find Arwen and Randy online. They have a great website for you. Go to beckerretirement.com. That's beckerretirement.com. So for those who are already in retirement, Randy, is it too late for them to take some of these preparation steps?
Well, there's a couple things such as HSA contributions that are restricted by age. Doing the necessities like forming a budget, assessing the fees in your investment portfolio, diversifying properly, and getting good health care, that can really happen at any time. But now that you do know, start taking these steps now so that the rest of your retirement is well covered and well planned for.
So, Randy, anything else you think we should consider before we take the plunge into retirement?
Yeah, it's a great idea to look at your overall insurance coverage and just to be sure you're adequately protected for the next phase of life. What is still necessary and what is appropriate? Maybe there's some things you can even take off the table. So it's doing an overall assessment. Do you still, for example, need that short-term disability policy? When you're in retirement and no longer earning a paycheck, it probably wouldn't make that much sense. What about your life insurance policy? How is that going to be structured? How does that integrate with your beneficiary designations and your income strategies? It's just part of the overall planning process. And also look at raising the deductibles on certain policies like homeowners and autos, because you're kind of going through a liquidity phase. You're going to have access to more funds when you do your rollovers. When you're working with a planner in pre-retirement, people like Arwen and I are having you build up a robust nest egg emergency fund. So these things are all part of integrating the insurance quotient into the whole process.
Yeah, and that's a big question a lot of people come in and ask us about. Should I continue paying on this insurance? So again, all of that functions together in the plan. It's not about looking at a single piece. That's where people get themselves in a lot of trouble because they're focused on like the investments. Well, investments are not a plan. Having, just a portfolio isn't going to tell you how you're going to pay for healthcare. But looking at Social Security by itself, you don't know if you should delay starting to take your Social Security or if you should take it on time or take it early. And the same thing goes with any insurance that you're paying on as well. A lot of times people come in and they say, gosh, it's just so expensive. And with the fixed income I'm now on, should I continue paying on this? And again, until we see it all function and understand what is the purpose behind this investment, it's a big piece of how it all functions together. That's why we help people on a daily basis understand how it all works together.
Arwen, Randy, as we begin to wind down the show today, any final thoughts?
Make sure that you understand that retirement is really supposed to be the best time of your life. And if you want to be able to live out those dreams and do the fun things that you're planning on, get your financial house in order. For example, today we were talking about making sure you're going into retirement having a good, solid, well thought out income plan. And we addressed how you want to be prepared from a tax standpoint. And of course, your insurance mechanisms that are in place and need to be revisited on a regular basis. We also spent some time discussing the difference between guaranteed income and non-guaranteed. And of course, they're essential that you have several varieties of income flowing into your household, but making sure you're managing them properly so that they don't just allow you to get by and, barely pay your bills, but that you can live a robust, fun, exciting retirement. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And then being able to distribute your money back to you in the most efficient way, tax efficient way, the lowest cost efficient way. These pieces are so vital to look at collectively and to not do this micro planning that so often people do. And that is how much we would love to support you in that process.
That's right, Arwen, and that's why the question we get all the time is, how do I know when the right time is for me to retire, and how can I tell when I'm ready? And it's a question we help people answer every single day, because protecting what you've worked for your entire life to accumulate is not something you want to tackle alone or leave in the hands of just anybody. So you need someone who specializes in all things retirement. So if you've saved at least $250,000 for retirement, let's talk about your plan. Give us a call at 800-725-8220, and we'll schedule a time to sit down and work through your best life retirement plan. We call it that because we think that retirement should be the best time of your life. Now, I promise you, you'll find it extremely valuable, and the good news is there's no cost or obligation. Again, reach out at 800-725-8220. We'll look forward to helping you create your best life retirement plan.
You've been listening to Real Retirement Radio on the Retirement News Network. Saturday morning, drinking my coffee, checking my accounts, then that little voice in my head. What on earth are you doing? Why are you trying to be your own financial advisor? You don't know anything about the financial business. You got too much money at stake to do this by yourself. Too many people are counting on you. Sometimes you gotta listen to those voices. So I made the call. Monday, I got the call back and met with Arwen and Randy Becker. Just the three of us. Had my numbers, portfolio, basically everything, and they said, put that away. We didn't talk about what I had. We talked about what kept me up at night. What Karen wants when we retire. Don't want to let her down. We've been talking about it for years, and now here it is. We're not quite ready to retire, but we're ready to be ready.
Let's talk. Becker Retirement Group, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.
If you have a crystal ball that can predict the future, you don't need to listen to this message. For everyone else, please pay attention. We've witnessed an almost unprecedented rise in the stock market over the past few years. Nobody has a crystal ball, but Arwen Becker of Becker Retirement Group has seen market corrections, and she's seen what can happen when markets crash. Now's the time to find out how your investment portfolio might perform during a market downturn. Give Arwen Becker a call and schedule an appointment to find out what investment strategies are best for you today and into retirement. A first meeting with us is like a first date. It's important to get started by getting to know each other, so schedule that first date. Call Becker Retirement Group now, 800-725-8220. Schedule an appointment today, 800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220, or visit beckerretirement.com. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AE Wealth Management and Becker Retirement Group are not affiliated companies. Becker Retirement Group is an independent financial services firm that helps people create retirement strategies using a variety of insurance and investment products. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to safety, security, or guaranteed lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investment products. Insurance and annuity product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Becker Retirement Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. You should talk to a qualified professional before making any decisions about your personal situation. We are not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
Concerned about missing the boat to a confident retirement? Don't worry. It's never too late to establish your relationship with a financial professional. In fact, if you've already retired, it may even be more important to have a reliable, trusted advisor help keep your retirement strategy on track. Act today. Optimize your time horizon, your recovery time, and take advantage of available opportunities to develop your overall financial strategy. Don't walk alone. Choose to work with an independent financial professional. Why not start today?
If it's important to you to get started today to refine your retirement strategy, give me a call. I'm Arwen Becker with Becker Retirement Group. Let's sit down together and look at your options. Call me at 1-800-725-8220. That's 800-725-8220. By contacting us, you may be provided with information regarding the purchase of insurance and investment products.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC.